Hi, I'm Dave,
And I'm Paul.
and we're going to challenge you to transform your financial future through the principles of the most profitable business in the world, banking.
We believe everyone should be involved in two businesses, the business that you're in and the banking business. Everyday people can replicate what bankers have been doing for centuries to leverage capital and build wealth through private lending.
Join us as we uncover the truths about money, expose lies and myths, and flip conventional financial advice on its head. Here we go. All right, we're back. Episode 101, triple digits. And now we get to start the count over again.
Right.
So, yeah. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So we had a great call last week, great episode. And this week, we're talking to the same folks, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed that last one. The next one is going to cover a few different things. What do we cover in this episode, Paul?
Yeah. So I think we get into a little bit of kind of the mindset switch that kind of comes with the territory when you start practicing IBC. The light bulb goes off on, hey, all the things I've been doing in the past financially, whether it's 401ks or IRAs, or I've been doing this multi-level marketing thing over here, or this or this thing over there. Nothing seemed to be working I wasn't getting toward any type of goal that we had set out for ourselves. We talk about simplification, I think, in this piece as well, where this IBC really, the process and putting our money into dividend paying whole life insurance, it simplifies our lives. Like, it is a extremely comfortable way to just operate your financial life, which touches every other aspect of your life. So anyway, it was nice to hear, and these clients, folks, are from all walks of life. We have blue collar folks, we have entrepreneurs, we have people that are a combination. White collar as well.
Doctor.
Doctor. Just all at kind of different stages, but all at the similar stage of their IBC journey. They're at the beginning.
Yeah. What I really like from this episode that you guys are about to listen to is that, some people say how you do anything is how you do everything. And I don't know if I fully believe that, but I think it actually rung true when having this discussion about how you control your capital, like how you do your financial life bleeds over into other areas of your life. And that starts to turn into how you do other parts of your life. And we talked about that specifically about control your capital. That leads over into actually taking control of other parts of your life that maybe you had abdicated or didn't even think about taking control of. But you start learning that and you understand, man, there's a lot more I can do.
Yeah, I think it just adds to the overall, someone's personal precision in everything they do. I'm laser focused on now this. When we had the Wallers say capitalizing, they're laser focused on that, and that is doing something, as I've said many times on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Capitalizing policies is doing something, and it is productive, and we should feel proud that we're doing that, because it's going to literally pay dividends in the future.
Nice one.
Pun
intended. So, all right. Well,
pun intended.
Let's stop.
When in Rome.
That doesn't really make sense here. Let's okay, quick story. You know how kids these days say imagine. They're like, imagine having to go to work. And so Hannah and I were saying that to the kids today, and they were like, that doesn't really make sense in this conversation. I was like, oh, when in Rome.
When in Rome.
Okay. Anyway, well, we'll stop talking and we'll let our clients do the talking. So, hey, enjoy, everybody. All right, Wallers, you alluded to how this has changed the way you think about money and finances, legacy, all that. So why don't you expand on that?
Yeah. Gosh. Well, wrestling with the scripture that says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And before knowing about IBC, that is a tough pill to swallow because we are entrepreneurs and I've had businesses since I was like 10 years old or something. And outside of the military, I never planned on working for someone else. I was in the if you have a job, you're an idiot camp. you know, like just and it's super sad to even look back and say that. But um being faced with that scripture and not really know how to wrap my mind around that and then connecting IBC, it just immediately clicks. And so it doesn't matter if I have a job or, like you said, be in two businesses. The business that you're in, whether that's your own business or a job, I am content now knowing that generational wealth is secured and I'm capitalizing no matter what. If I can go work a 9 to 5 and be totally happy and because that income is going to fund our family bank and that will be passed on. And the thought of if we outside of IBC, if I was working really hard and building something and anything happened to me, well, we're no longer homeschooling our kids. My wife is getting a job, and everything that we don't want for our family, is therefore taking place. And it's just a huge relief that so much stress and worry is taken out of our lives just by putting a policy in force. Not even using it yet, just by putting one in force, I sleep better at night.
Right.
Yeah, and for me, IBC is just kind of like this puzzle piece, like this chameleon puzzle piece that you can just kind of attach onto pretty much everything. As entrepreneurs, it's like, I had a job at one point that I had an IRA and I rolled it over and I had a Roth IRA and we were putting away some money into it. And we thought we were like, okay, we're like finally becoming adults. We are saving money for when we're old. So that way we're not a burden to at that point, we didn't have kids yet. I think I was just pregnant with our first child. And we're like, okay, like we don't want to be a burden onto our children in our old age. Like, oh yeah, they're entrepreneurs, but they had no mind for the days when they weren't working anymore, So
or if they didn't want to do what we were into.
That's the big one for me is it's like we are multi-passionate people. Like we have pursued, we could fill probably 10 podcast episodes just talking about all the different things that we've done between the two of us and what we've done together. And so I'd imagine that our kids are probably going to be similar personality types to us, right? And so giving them a tool that can attach to whatever their passion is, whatever their profession ends up being, if they want to start a business or they want to have a career and they want to capitalize, they're going to need cars, they're going to need homes, they're going to need, to pay for the things of life. And so it's just having that, that's changed our way of thinking with that puzzle piece of like, when we first found out about like kind of what IBC was. And I remember the first list of questions that we wrote down when we had our call with Dave for the first time. And it's like, look, I found that page of our list of questions and I was just cracking up because we didn't know anything.
We're still babies.
Still babies, but we would like lay awake at night and we'd be like, okay, so wait, how do we attach this to this and this business? And so, yeah, it definitely has changed everything. I feel like that comes up into our sphere, opportunities and stuff. We're trying to figure out how to make it work in that system.
Yeah, when Nelson talks about like imagination, and why he named it the infinite banking concept, that is our type of personalities. It's only limited by your own imagination and you're in control, which we want to be in control. We have helped so many other people in their businesses and we weren't in control. We almost did this one strategy called like the FIRE plan. And it was essentially taking advantage of every government program that's out there and it you have to whiteboard and mind map and track
Oh, it's the
all-
spreadsheets.
Oh, the spreadsheets, yeah. I
It's
mean,
like 20
just
pages of spreadsheets that this
Oh,
person
yeah.
wanted you to keep
but
filling out.
it's all they're like, we're prior government employees, take advantage of this and this, and it's just so confusing, instead of just engineer policy to do what it is that you want it to do and
Finance the things
and,
life.
and finance the things of life. Like, just go. You don't have to log in all these other programs that you can't touch. And, if you're not getting taxed on the front end, you're getting taxed on the back end. And it's just like, what's the point? And then it's essentially gambling because you're just crossing your fingers and hoping that people in power that control the market are going to be out for your best interests as a small family in Pinedale, Wyoming. It's so far out there. And so it just simplified everything and got us to slow down and think long range and stop jumping around all these different, parts of how to make money and yada yada. It's like, no, we're good. We're just gonna capitalize and wait.
That's awesome. You guys said two things there that I really like. One, simple, because this is not complex. And
simple.
Man, people try to make it really complex, and frankly, some people who market this, the noise that's out there, try to make it this, incredibly complex system that if you do it, it solves every problem in the world. And then Rebekah, you're talking about you can basically just add this to whatever you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you're doing, you add this, and you're not adding, a whole life policy to what you're doing. You're adding the process of banking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Nelson says, be involved in 2 businesses, or 30 businesses like you guys are. And just add this one to it because somebody's performing the banking function in your life. Who's that somebody? You or somebody else?
The financial chameleon. I like that.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Edit that out.
Oh, I don't think we heard anything. Maybe Paul talked over it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love these light bulb moments, Dave, that everybody has had where you can attach this to anything. All roads lead back to the infinite banking concept or your dividend paying whole life insurance series of policies. Like Nelson used to say, your money has to reside somewhere. What better place than here? So I love, gosh, you guys have been phenomenal. Like, this is the stuff that's coming out of your mouth. I'm just sitting here just in silence and totally intrigued because I can remember thinking this in my own mind over the last several years when I was first a client, of how I was like, this is great. Oh my God. Where's this been, 20 years ago or, 2013 when Dave should have told me about it, but he didn't know what he had either. But no, phenomenal. Keep it going. This is great.
Well, and you guys said you're talking about the notes that you have from when you first started exploring this, to compared to looking at those notes and be like, did we really ask that stupid question to ourselves? Like, I've got the same notes in my original copy that's on the shelf right there in pencil, and I'm like, seriously, that's a question you asked? But it made me remember, man, that's the beginning of the journey, right? Because you're learning so much here and the journey never ends. So, 13 years later, after doing my first 3 policies, I'm still learning and doing a lot of learning from clients because I face something new with each person that comes in. Man, it's a unique situation. Like Ryan, you mentioned the challenges we had with yours. You mentioned diabetes. Now, how has that? So, which is why I think you probably came in with more of a mindset of like, I want some death benefit, right? And making sure that's there for my family, but how else can this work for me? So what do you see this doing for you in the future? I mean, it sounds like you want to participate in opportunities, and we always talk capital attracts opportunities. So I want to know what you guys have found opportunity wise, or how has that changed the way you you see the world now?
Well, from a diabetes standpoint, obviously, is it like a rating Z or whatever
Yeah,
the
you're
level?
like, what is it, eight?
He's an,
It's a table.
he's
Table.
an F.
Yeah,
F. Yeah.
I'm a big funky. And so my runway is a little bit slower, right? It's a little bit longer, and but by the time I'm taking off, really my hope, my big picture mindset is to get some of these, I'll use policy loans to get some of these alternative investments going to help fund and create a retirement plan. And then once that gets off the ground and rolling, hopefully I can buy my kids a car and then they can pay the loan back, just like what Nelson talks about in the book. And, maybe put a down payment on their house for them, or buy the whole thing back and do the whole mortgage for my kids if the policies ever get big enough to be able to do that. And then just expand that banking system to allow for some of these different flexible options. This isn't the first year. This is down decade or two down the road for sure, and maybe even more than that. Who knows? But this is all long term play. And gosh, I didn't have a framework prior to this to how to get to that point, and this has kind of opened my eyes a little bit to see, okay, well, now I have an endpoint, and this is how we can do this. And being able to recapture all that interest, yeah, as Nelson talks about, in his day, it was 37 cents on the dollar goes to interest, I think is the quote. And man, what you could do with that money coming back at you. And I guess more recently, the way I look at it, the more I realize what it is, you're putting money to your life insurance policy, and then you're just leveraging the policy. So if you take out a policy loan for an investment, and then you end up just paying the interest on that, and then after X amount of years, the policy loan comes back. Well, if the syndication company is promising you, I don't know, 10, 20, whatever percent, really you're leveraging that up. It's just an arbitrage play. And you may be making more like 60 or 70% on that in the back end, if you look at it from that regard. And so that leverage is really, really important to have. And if it goes south, well, that's okay. It comes out of your death benefit, and your death benefit's not quite as big. Or you get a windfall down the road, and then you can pay it back at that point. So again, to your point, that money's never really gone from the policy, which is so important. And that's been cool to play with that. And I'm a spreadsheet dork, and I love to kind of look at some of that and see how all that could potentially play out. I just hope that some of this comes true. But even if a half of it comes true, I'm still way better now than I was 6 months ago before I met you guys, and I'm just so appreciative of that.
Yeah, IBC takes all kinds, right? Some people are big on spreadsheets. Some people just want the Cliff Notes version, and hey, don't bore me with the details.
Right.
So yeah, it takes all kinds, and it can work for any type of person, the way I see it. But I love what you mentioned about putting your money to work in two places at once, right? And even if that investment fails, that you have your money in a syndication or something, oh man, that sucks. But guess what? Your original capital never left your policy. It's still cranking away, earning uninterrupted compound growth. And yeah, it may take you a while to pay that back if that's the case. But, is that a better situation than had you not first put your money there and you just took money from your checking account or your pocket and gave it to a syndicator? Now it's gone forever. And the ability to earn interest on that money is gone forever. Well, that's great. That's a perfect example of capturing it here first and letting it build in two places at once. And hopefully that doesn't happen. If you invest in that kind of stuff for long enough, it's probably bound to happen, or at least maybe take a partial hit. But yeah, this is a nice safety net.
Yep,
I'd say.
I think it's going to be interesting to see as we all get older together, folks. What your appetite is for certain opportunities, and maybe we'll have you on 10 years from now when you've got whatever X more cash value than you have now, and your policies are fairly efficient on and you're 10 years older as well, closer to passive income time, whatever, to see what your appetite is for, hey, would you have done the same thing in 2033 that you did in 2023? Have the opportunities changed? Have they got more conservative? Do you have to do anything at that point, maybe, or maybe it's 20 years from now? I know as I age, Dave, and we've talked about this a little bit just between us, that I'm getting more picky as I'm about to hit 44 in what day is it? In a week from today. I'm getting more picky on where I deploy capital, and it's because I want to focus what I'm good at. You're a doctor, you're a lineman. You guys you're my second bug out like apocalypse location.
Heading to
I think.
Wyoming. Yeah.
I'll go out there and eat prairie dogs or whatever. They're so silly. But anyway, because at some point your policy, every dollar in premium, right, is going to produce $1.50 or $2 or $3 of cash value, right? That's phenomenal. So imagine you're paying $10,000 of premium and $30,000 gets spit out the other end a few weeks later. I mean, that's something else.
Yeah.
So just something to think about and ponder as the years go by here.
And it's definitely, I don't think it's even a reflection of your age. I know you're getting pretty old, Paul, but just the fact that you want to take less risk with your capital because you've realized you don't have to take high risk to get a reward.
Right.
And looking at the rate of, the return on the ROR or, the ROI, the rate of return, ROR, IRR, it's not the number one factor you should be looking at anyway. It's, is my money safe? Is it coming back to me?
Yeah. I tell people all the time that are kind of new to our processes, I don't look at the policy loan rate generally. It fluctuates between 5 and 5.7 or 6, or I don't do spreadsheets like Ryan there because I don't know how.
You're an Army officer. You know how to do PowerPoints like a ninja.
I do PowerPoint,
but not spreadsheets.
I don't even do that very well. I used to just make captains do that for me but anyway, the whole point is, the bottom line is this is a business that's guaranteed to succeed. All you have to do is meet your simple obligation of paying your premium, right? It is guaranteed to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. So Wes, I'm interested, what kind of opportunities have you come across? Have you come across any, or has it changed the way you're out there looking for opportunity?
It's done both. To be honest with you, I realized that this was the line in the sand for me and my family where we could step out of that trajectory that we were on. I don't want to say poor, but not well capitalized, extremely over leveraged debt, and honestly, we're still working on some of that. But now we have a plan, right? We have a hope that's guaranteed. And this is able to be income replacement for my bride. And that was a big deal to me. How can I help her get to the passive income years faster? Well, now I have a plan in place. And like Ryan said, even if I'm half right or half wrong, however you look, I'm still going to be able to do that in a really quickly time frame for her so that she can hang out with the kids and grandkids. That was probably my number one want and need for this when I started. But now that I realize that is for sure going to happen, and then beyond, it's opened my mind and thinking on what else I can do with this. Now that dollar can have 2, 3, 4 jobs, depending on where you set it and where you put it. And cash flow is a total different ballgame in our life now, just within a year. So that's been huge to just have that worry melt away. Like Dave and Rebekah said, it's such a blessing when your wife trusts you enough to handle these things, and then your kids finally say, okay, maybe dad's not so crazy. This is kind of working out,
Yeah.
And it's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the conversations you've had. By the way, you should have some books showing up to your place pretty soon. I sent over those Infinite Banking for Real Estate Investor books. So those are coming your way.
I appreciate that because I gave the other ones away this morning at church.
Okay.
We're not
Good,
the
man.
only ones. Okay.
Easy to do.
So easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you keep one for yourself. Keep a copy for yourself of every book you get. Or what I did, I actually had a stamp created, and I stamped my name, my email, and my phone number on every book. So in
Nice.
case I do loan it out, they at
Wow.
least they know who they got that book from. But yeah, I like to keep my originals. Um, awesome, man. Now, Wallers, you guys mentioned, I like how David, you mentioned, hey, we're fine just capitalizing right
Mhm.
now. So we
Yeah.
talk about opportunities, and you can seize opportunities when you have capital, but does that mean you have to? Right? And how does that, what's your decision matrix when it comes to opportunities now? Because it sounds like you guys you're going in a lot of different directions, right? So you could put more emphasis on one area of your homestead or one of your businesses than the other. How do you guys analyze opportunities any differently now, and decide on which direction to go?
Well, I think for the most part, it just kind of projected our vision for whatever opportunity is way out there because we've done so many things, and a lot of them, being like, oh, we're passionate about this, so let's create a business out of it. And then when you have multiple things going on like that, well, then they all become not a passion anymore. They just become work. And if it's a decision of like, do I spend time with my kids, or do I go and do this thing and say, sorry, I have to go do chores on the property, or I have to go, butcher and package meat in the garage. And I'm like right there, and I could be spending time with them. But how it's changed the way we think about opportunities is, could we just do this and do it as a family? Would our kids enjoy this doing it as well? And would we get tired of ever doing this? Would we do this the rest of our lives? Those kind of questions keep popping up, instead of like, hey, is this a means to an end? Do we just want to do this because the potential money looks good on the other side, but doing it day in and day out, we would hate it? It's not so much about that anymore. It's more about, how do we want to structure our lives where it's just activities. What do we want to be a part of that's fun, for the whole family, and we would do it regardless if it made us money or not, you know.
And one thing that we've been talking about a lot more recently, in light of some new developments and opportunities that we're going to be taking advantage of, we've sort of realized about ourselves that we love being entrepreneurs, right? Like, we love starting businesses and we love being a part of businesses. But what we've learned about ourselves is what we really love, what we really, really love, is just being involved. And we're just as excited to be helping somebody else with their passion project and their business than we are, like, it maybe even more so, right? Because we have such a interesting, diverse background between the two of us, and we've been a lot of places, and we've done a lot of things, for how old we are. And so we've kind of moved into this new space of thinking where we're like, hey, you know what? Let's actually just focus on, whatever it takes to capitalize and put money into our policy. And the beauty of like policy loans is it takes a couple of days, right? And so it's like, you need to think about it. Is this worth taking money out
So
of my
no
bank?
impulse
Is this,
purchases, right?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
like, oh, let me just real quick, like, throw this in there.
Would I take a loan from an actual bank to do this? And if the answer is no, it's like, well,
right. So we've kind of we've shifted, even just more so recently, into, okay, maybe we're not focused so much on what our passions and such are, going into our business, but maybe we're taking a step back from actually building our businesses, and we are focusing more on an investor standpoint of investing in projects that we really care about, in communities that we care about. And in order to do that, we need to kind of just bury our heads in the sand for a little while and put the blinders on and just focus on capitalizing and smashing any remaining debt that we have. So that's I
Yeah.
feel like been a really big development for us.
Yeah, scaling back all the things that are pulling us in all these different directions, because what we're really passionate about is helping other people. So,
Which has gotten us into trouble as well, but that's other
Yeah.
stories.
but some projects that we all know that we have going on is like, wow, we could really just be investors and participate in different platforms that we're co-owners of, and it wouldn't just help our family, it would help every family involved. That's a multiplication factor that I've never you can't even sit there and think up on your own.
That's awesome. What I got from you guys right there is you started controlling your own capital, and that led to really controlling your life even more so. And that's what I found on my own journey is when I started controlling my own capital, that started to bleed over into other areas of my life. Well, maybe I can control this area of my
Right.
life. We can't control everything, right? In fact, there's very little we can control. But what you have the ability to control, you start recognizing, hey, I do have the ability to make these certain decisions and control this, at least to some degree, right? We're not the ultimate controllers of anything really, but it does bleed over. But it started for me financially with my capital, and I love that message because everybody so often, even Paul and I talk about opportunities. Capital attracts opportunities. You can get your money working in two places at once. You can do this and that, and both and not either or. But you guys are saying let's focus on capitalizing. The opportunities will come. Right now, let's capitalize. I love that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Hey, why don't we wrap this thing up? This has been 2 episodes, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there for this whole time. Just to kind of wrap it up, why don't you guys just any parting words, any recommendations for anybody who might be kind of on the fence or just getting started in their journey, that you may want to share? Or I don't know, Paul, you got anything else you want to hear from everybody? We could talk for hours, but I want to respect you guys.
other than
your day,
like comments about your hair.
Positive comments about my hair.
Yeah,
What you're saying?
So nice.
So what Paul's trying to say is we're on YouTube also, so you can catch us there on that platform.
That's right.
And watch us.
Can't see the hair through Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever.
Right.
So
That's right.
but no, just to echo what I said earlier. This is going to be a phenomenal 2 episodes, and I think everything that you guys said today is going to resonate with people that are either just listeners. We've had a recent referral, Dave and I, from Europe, where a non-client listener referred somebody who's going to become a client, which is funny to me.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I think what you guys have said is going to resonate with everybody, from all walks of life, all income levels. Could tell you guys are well read in the concept, and that's phenomenal. And that's why we stress so much: read the book, listen to the podcast, read the book 4 times if that's what it takes. You can't read it enough. You've heard me say that. I still read it. I'll take it to Europe on my vacation with me. It'll be in my backpack. So yeah, but anyway, go ahead, guys. I'll open up the mic for you guys and just any parting shots or comments or call to action for people or whatever.
Is this where we say if you don't control your capital, somebody else will?
Yeah, you guys want to say that?
Nailed it.
I just appreciate you guys, and you've opened up, obviously the 3 of us on the call with you, you've opened up our eyes to a whole new way to look at the world, really, and the possibilities are infinite. And I'm excited to see what the other 2 folks on the call do and what you guys do in 10 years. With the policies and with life. It's exciting for all of us.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, it's awesome to be going through this journey with a like-minded group like this. It's really humbling, and I don't know, it's just a heartfelt, warm feeling knowing that people do care. And if anybody's out there thinking about this or not sure, my advice is reach out, have a conversation, get it going. If you're unsure, that's okay. We were all unsure as well. But I guarantee you, if you see behind that curtain, you can't unsee that. and it'll change your lives forever.
Oh, well put. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
and one of the biggest things I would say is all the noise out there. Um, you just gotta find a way to shut it out, like the Dave Ramseys of the world and the IUL guys out there, and term and investing and yada yada. It's just don't give up control. Don't assume risk when you don't have to, So if other guys are talking about essentially gambling and playing in the market and all this other stuff, it's like, just don't even pay attention. Be your own bank and not be affected by, anything external going on.
Yeah, I
Love
think
that.
on that note of shutting out the noise too, it's when you get involved in really anything, seems that friends and family never seem to understand or get on board, or even if they do have questions, they're not willing to read a book or to listen to a podcast episode, just a single one, right? You're like, hey, brother, sister, father, mom, cousins, whoever, right? So like going into something like this, it's like just kind of understanding that you're doing it for you and for your family and for your future, and being okay with that other people might not understand. And it's one of those kind of like caught not taught things where it's like, yeah, you might have to read the book 4 times, but you have to be willing to read the book 4 times. So it's okay if other people don't get it. It's okay if you need to look over the information. And I know David's probably consumed at this point, like in the hundreds of podcast episodes, Dave and Paul's and of other guys and stuff. So go through the info and, like reach out and stuff. But it's one of those things where every day we get older, and these policies that we're talking about are really, the sooner you can get in and just get something started, get an application started, it's going to be better than waiting a year, 2 years, 5 years. So your life could change and you just don't know how.
No question. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. This has been amazing. We got to do this more. Paul, we got to bring in more people and have these conversations. Maybe like a year from now, we'll have the 4 of you back on and do this again and see what's happened in the last year. That'd be really exciting to do.
This is your group now.
Yeah. Yep.
We're in this together.
All right. Well, let's do this together. I'll start it. You guys finish it and we'll sign off here. So until next time, control your capital.
Or somebody else
will.
All right.
Good enough. We'll see y'all.
Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. If you'd like to have a conversation with us to see how you can become your own banker, or if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to tackle on a future episode, please send us an email to davidandpaul@theibcguys.com.
And subscribe and leave us a review if you're on Apple. Follow and leave us a 5-star review if you're on Spotify. And please share this with your friends. We'll see you next week.